Hi guys, my name's James Stothard. Today I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on how to add a light bloom to your shots in After Effects. The shot I'm working on here is from my entry for the Sky Art Sting competition. It's rendered out from Autodesk Maya, and it consists of a few layers and an alpha mask, which can actually be very useful for adding tweaks to this effect. But it will work equally well on video clips, especially shots where there's a larger dynamic range, so between the light and dark areas. Now I'll just give you a quick warning. You may actually hear a dog in the background. Well, actually you'll assume it's a dog because of its barking, but it's actually one of those nasty little rat things my wife likes to parade around in a handbag. You know, the ugly little dogs with the outfits. Yeah. Just ignore it. That's all I do. So anyway, here's how the clip looks. You can see we get a nice flare effect between the glass cases. However, it doesn't necessarily have to be an increase in bloom for your shots. If you just want to add a glow effect perhaps to an LED or a light. And you can see though that it can also be used as a transition. So what we'll do is we'll start off by creating a new project. Now what I find is with renders from Maya, it's best just to import the file rather than create a new composition. Because it saves you having to mess around with the aspect ratios and things like that in After Effects. So anyway, I'll just quickly show you that those are my files there. I've saved all my images out as Targa format. Targa is great because it has an alpha channel on it, and you can store the alpha data in the image. So select the first one, and what you want to do is you want to make sure it's on footage. And it's already automatically selected at the bottom there as a target sequence, but if you do that, if you import that just on its own, and ignore that for now, I'll show you that, what you do is you end up getting your composition filled with just one image. So basically what you want to do is you want to make sure that you select the sequence button when you import your file. So just delete those, and we'll import again. Okay, so select that, make sure it's footage and target sequence. Okay, now a quick explanation of this box. This is about interpreting the alpha on the image. Now, if you've already got the alpha channel embedded in the image like a targa, then you want to keep it on straight, because it means that you get a very nice clean alpha on your image. If you select pre-multiplied, now that will take that's good if you've got pre-multiplied footage to use, but you do have to tweak it then because you do end up with a little black line around the edge of your images. So when you're rendering out of Maya, you render it with the alpha channel activated, and you can just import it without having to worry about the alpha channel. Pre-multiplied is for stock footage, that kind of thing. So with that imported, just drop that into the timeline, and you see we've got the animation there. There we go, over and over. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to import the other files that we need. So now you get to see how wonderfully organised I am. Not really, but anyway, there we go. So select that. You see again that every frame has individually been rendered out, all 144 frames. So we select the first frame of the alpha sequence again, make sure it's footage and targa, and of course we just make sure it's on straight as well. Okay, and then we can just insert that in now. And go for that. We drop that in on top and you'll see how the alpha works. So it's completely masked out the case and the horse, and that's very useful for like staggering the effect of the light from the bloom. And just to get organised, I'm going to quickly rename these. So the bottom one's going to be background or something like that. So then just press enter over the layer name and type in the new name for the layer, and we'll call this one main shot, and this one we will call alpha. What we then do is go over to the effects panel, select blur, and what we'll do is we'll just quickly show you what happens if you put a Gaussian blur on the main shot there, which actually will work okay, but it does have problems involved in it. You whack the blur up and you'll start to notice that well, it doesn't look very bright there, but what we do is we actually change the mode of the layer to add, and there you go, you've got your glow. So there you go, see, very easy. So if that's all you wanted to do with your shot, then you can actually do that. What I find is that once you get to a certain amount of blur, you start to get this weird edge where the pixels disappear, and that's the problem with the Gaussian blur there. So delete that, and you're much better off to use the fast blur effect instead. And the reason for that is you can whack the blur up on that one, and as you see, the more blurry you get, the more pixels around the edge that disappear off that blur layer. But it has a handy box there called repeat edge pixels, and that fills in the edges, and then whack that on to add, and you get your glow effect still. And we'll probably just tweak that a bit, it's a bit over bright, so let's bring that down. Something around there works. What we're going to want is, in this shot particularly, we want it to increase in intensity, so finding a good starting level is quite important for this one. And obviously if this is all you're doing for your shot, job done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually then, on the glow, the layer below, the glow layer, we're going to attach the alpha, which you do via the track matte selection box. And the reason we do that is because you can see there that it keeps that in the dark and just ties it in nicely there. And what I can do is I'm going to tweak the opacity on that later on to tie in with the increase in the bloom. So rename that to glow. And duplicate that, put it above the alpha. So the thing with the blur is that once you get to a certain amount of blur, it won't increase the brightness. You do need to duplicate the layer. But for the increase in the blur, the bloom effect, what we do is we're actually going to just animate the opacity of those layers. We do that. Set the base blurriness, the highest we want it to go. Find the frame where we want it to start to increase, and just keyframe the blur there, and there you go. So it's increasing blur, but to get that nice halo, flare kind of look to it in between the cases there, we activate the second glow. You see there, that creates a nice effect. But again, I want that to be gradual, so what we do is we're going to set the opacity. But first I'm just going to get the blur to a level that I'm quite happy with. So put that layer on and just tweak that. As you see, you get to a certain point and it stops working, it stops making a difference. You'd have to create another layer on top to increase that anymore. So obviously we need to animate the opacity on that layer as well, because there we go, so put that to top there and go back to the frame where the previous layer has reached 100 and put this new glow down to 0. So now we get a nice transition to the glow, you know, nice build up to that glow and the flare there between the two cases. What we need to do is select all the layers, and we're going to turn those into pre-comp them. To do that, we just select the layers, and if we go up to layer, down at the bottom is pre-compose, just leave it as the setup it's got. Okay, that just means that we can't, we have not got too much on the screen there to distract us, and we're not going to mess around with the glow we've already built up. So next, create an adjustment layer. And the purpose of the adjustment layer is to affect all the layers underneath it. We add, first of all, and it's important to do it in this order, a fast blur. And then over the top of that, we go into well, actually we could just search for it up there. It's levels. There it is. And pop that on the top. Okay. Now we're ready to create the transition effect as well. A large glow at the very end. So what you can do is you just set the blurriness right up on the fast blur, and you see we get that white line coming around the edge there again. So we repeat pixel edges, and that gets rid of that. It makes quite a big difference. Then what we need to do is to increase the whites on there so it flashes it out completely. Do is find the keyframe where we want that flash to occur, and just hit the stopwatch icons, and that sets the keyframes up. Bring it back to the beginning of the adjustment layer, and the great thing you can do here is if you hit reset on both of those, it puts it back to the basic thing there, but it also creates a keyframe for those as well. So then if I quickly do a RAM preview, we can play it through from the beginning. And there you have it. It's a bit slow on there, but that's because my computer's pretty dated. But as you can see, in less than 15 minutes we've created quite an effective transition, and even just the glow effect, which you just use the glow layers at the very beginning of this tutorial, create a nice effect around lights and LEDs and that kind of thing in your shot. And that's it. So that's the tutorial over, but if you want to see any more, then subscribe to my channel, because I'll be putting up some more tutorials in the future. And I'll probably be putting up some Maya related ones on render passes and that kind of thing. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you come back to watch some more in the future.